Welcome to this further video about the connection of the SimulationX program with Python. In the previous videos, I already told that this is using the component object model, the COM interface of SimulationX, which is based on the Windows technology. And you would also use it to control, for example, Excel or Word. What we want to discuss in this video is the structure. So how we would, for example, access a parameter. Like here in this example model, there is this rotational joint. And if I open the property dialog, you get here, for example, the position parameter x0 with its corresponding value. So how will we access this? And the answer to this question is kind of encoded here in this figure. So we will always start at the application, right? So you need to first get access to SimulationX, then to the document, then to the objects in this model. Document is just nothing else than model, and then to the parameters. So somehow we need to go through this path. Yeah, as I mentioned, we use this example of this bucket cylinder here. We do not need to understand it for now. What we need to know is that we make use of the Win32 package. Sorry for that. And so this is what you need to install, Win32. Once you've installed it, you can import Win32 COM client submodule, and then you call the dispatch method out of this package. And this will either connect to a running instance of SimulationX, or if there's nothing available, then it will start it. And it's using the registry. In the registry, it somehow can find this string, and under the corresponding entry, it will also know where the program is installed. And it will also be able to connect to a running instance if there is already one. And it returns a pointer. We can understand this as a kind of pointer to the application. For SimulationX 2025 and also 2025.1, the program ID which we pass is ESI SimulationX 47. For the next upcoming version, it will be keysite.simulationx 2026. What we get, if I evaluate this cell, is a component which is pointing to SimulationX. It's also telling you that you can access some of these properties here, the app name, the app version. And once we are there, we can then go to next step, right? We can go to the documents. And this is most easily done with the active document, which gives you the document which is currently activated, which is the one with kind of the bold letters here and the tabs. So now it's model 3, now it's model 4. Now it's again the bucket cylinder hydraulics. So you can also print that, right? So, and it's first of all returning just the object. Doc is just the object. This is the active one. We can also go through the collection as it's illustrated here, and that would give us all the currently open documents in the application. Now we want to go to the parameter x0. If we go here step by step, that would mean we start at the application. From the application, we get doc. That's what we already have, right? So that is already doc here. Then we go to the sim objects, and then we go to the parameters. And I described that here. We go first to the sim objects, which are all of the sim objects of the model. Then we get from these lists, we get the one that we want to access, which is this joint arm link. Then once we are at the object, so we are now here, we want to access its parameters, so like this. And once we have the parameters, we can select the one that we are interested in. Once we have the parameter pointer, we can access the value. So we can access to the methods and properties of this parameter object. That looks quite difficult, and it's much easier to understand if we would write it like this, right? So directly .com, once again, doc.simObjects, then we give directly into the parentheses the name of the object, then the name after dot parameters, the name of the parameter, and then the value. So that's actually the same as here. We can then access everything of X0, all the methods like eval. So you see the difference. Eval gives us the numerical value, while value gives us the expression. By the way, this is reading access. We could also write it by, again, giving here, like, same here. So that would write the value. I won't do this right now, but basically you understand what I want to tell. Eval is just reading. It's just reading, and it's giving you the SI value. Always SI units, whereas the value will give you the expression that is written into the parameter dialog in the unit that is selected there. And by the way, unit or quantity, that can be also accessed, right? These are also just properties of this parameter. Yes, and you can also access the ident, right? Again, with this, or we already got a pointer to x0 from here, so we could directly use x0, right? It's just the same. Yes, we can also get the type ident of this object. So, right, so that would be the object, and then we get its type and the ident of the type. Comparing these two expressions, and also, so this is obviously showing how we go through this tree here. There is a shortcut, which is the lookup method. And you have this lookup method at almost every object you get back from SimulationX. And what you give there is, and it's a lookup kind of top down, right? So it's only a down search. And if you look at the document, at the model, you will not find anything which is in another model. And what you give it as an argument is the ident or the relative ident with respect to the document in this case. So with respect to the object where you start your search, so to say. And you could also start at the application. And in this case, the relative ident also includes the document name. So it gets a bit longer. And the ident is somehow also encoding the structure, right? So it's including the document name, it's including the object name, it's including the parameter name. And this is why you also go through this structure, but it's much faster. And you can think of this, right? Even if you write it like this, let me just take away here this writing. Even if you call it like this, behind the scenes, they're still happening this. So it's getting all the objects, then you select the right object. It's getting all its parameters, then you select the right parameter. All of this needs to be collected, marshaled, meaning it's needed to be translated. It needs to be translated from a SimulationX internal representation into a component object model representation into a Python representation. And all of this takes time. So this is why the lookup is much faster, because it's all of the, so this part is kind of the lookup method is done in SimulationX, right? And it's just needs to marshal the reply. So it's just the object that it gets, and then it calls the value property. Same to these two, right? So once you have it, once you have a pointer to an object, then use it. Do not call it again like this, because this again creates all the overhead. Even so, in the code you just copy and paste, but in the evaluation you would call all these methods and execute all this marshalling behind the scenes again. So this is why this would be much faster than this one, of course. Okay, that's all for now. In the next video, we want to go through a small simulation loop. So see you next time. Thanks for watching.